In this video, I'll be briefly discussing the different features of Follett's Destiny catalog system for librarians. This is from the Librarian portal. I will also be making a video from the patrons view. This will be just a brief overview of some of the functions through Follett's Destiny and the features that are most used at our school here at LHS Harmon. Okay, so we're on the home screen here. We're going to start in the catalog to look at the features available through catalog. All right, we will start with the opening screen here is the, and it does usually default to basic, is the library search screen. This is where you search for the materials in our collection. So we can search by keyword, title, author, subject, series, your typical basic searches. Of course, the default is keyword, so if you just type something in and press enter, that'll be searching by the keyword. The most common thing we use here on this screen, apart from the basic search for a title or author, is down here at location. Right now it's set to LHS Harmon, so that will be searching our collection here at Harmon. But if we click on this and change it to, we can choose from any of these options if we want to look at specifically elementary, middle, or high schools, or we can check the entire district. This is really helpful when you're looking for a specific book that your school does not have. That way you can see if someone else in the district has it, and then you can contact that librarian to see if you are able to borrow that title for one of your patrons. So when you search through this, so let's say we'll search for The Hate You Give, a popular book that is often checked out. So I have it on the whole district. Now you'll see there are a couple different files or entries for the same novel. So over here on the side, it has how many are available locally. We have 0 out of 5 available. They're all checked out, even though we have 5 copies. And then you can see the rest of the district. So this shows all of the schools that have it and the status is if it's available or when it is due. So then once you have located the school that you would like to borrow from, then you can email that librarian for an interlibrary loan. All right, let's go back to the library search page. And there are other options here for limiting what you're searching for. One of the options would be to make it a book or whatever type of material you're searching for. But like I said, the most common one that we use down here is the location to see what other schools are available. Now back up to the top up here, this is again still under library search. This is when you're searching for a book or other piece of material that in our collection. The power search is another good place to search. This is kind of using some Boolean search terms, so you're able to use and, or not. You know, for example, if you are looking for books on China, but not dishes, that would give us some books specifically on the country of China and not China dishes. And you can use all of the other search limiters from the first page as well on this same page under Power Search. And the last thing I want to point out from this page, the search page, is the search by barcode. This is if you have a specific book that you want to look up some information on, for example, to look up the last person that has checked it out or the current person who has it checked out, or other information about a specific copy of a book. Okay, the next thing we're going to go to is our resource lists. That's over here on our menu from the left. So right now, when we first click on it, we can see all of the lists made by Deborah Lilly is our school librarian. So these are the lists that have been created, and you can click on them to view the books that are in that list. So these are titles that have been added to a specific list. Let's go back to that page, the resource list, and show how to create one of these resource lists. We're going to click on Add List up here in the top right corner. And we're going to give it a name. So let's say example list for our video. And we can choose to make this public. That means that any other librarian in the district would be able to view this list. So if this is something that I would want to be able to share with another librarian, then I would want to check this box so that it is searchable. And you can choose locally or within the district. And you can type up a description if you would like. So for our Destiny video. And you can add other teachers that if you want them to be contributing to your list as well. So then we'll save that list. So now it is created, and it is here under in alphabetical order, and it gives us the date that it was created. So to add things to this list, we're actually going to go back to our library search and go back to basic. And we will again search for The Hate You Give as our example book. And press enter. And it brings up, oh, oopsies, we still had it on the whole district. So let me go back to switch that back to just Harmon, because I want to look at our books here. Okay. So I searched by keyword. I could also search by title for that one. Okay, so over here it says add to this list. So if we click on that, add to this list, it already has example list chosen. I can choose from any of the lists in my set of resource lists. So we still had it on the one that we had just created. And it tells us it's in this list. We can, of course, click that again to remove it from our list or to view our list. But here is the list of the things that we have within our the example list. We can make copies of the list to duplicate it, or we can add to it, email it to someone, or we can save it as like a text file. All right, moving on. To go back to our resource lists, I wanted to show you where the public lists are. So if I click on public lists, which is up here in the above add list, the top right corner, we're able to view the list from the other librarians within our district, within Louisville ISD. So here we have who has created the title, or excuse me, who has created the list, and when it was created. So we can view, if we click on view, it will show us the list of those books. So if we click on view, we can see, well, this one only had one book within it. And like I said, this is useful if you have a librarian that you're collaborating with and you want to share one of your lists with them, or you want to view a list that they have created, then that's how you can do that there under the public lists. Okay, next let's move on to add title. This is again still in the catalog section. This is when you have a new book that you would like to add to the collection, specifically if you have a small number of books, not a large order. So if you bought one specific book, maybe at Barnes & Noble or Half Price Books, and you're adding it to your collection, this would be the screen that you would do that on. So the easiest way to find your book is by the ISBN, which is the default search description. You can choose others though. So you would type in the ISBN number, or you can use your barcode scanner, and then you'll click go. Now, if someone else in the library has your book, then that's going to pop up in the once you have searched for it. If you're the first person in your district to get this specific title, then you can use you can enter it manually, just typing in some basic information that you will go back and update later once more detailed information has been added by our district office. All right. So next up we have update copies. Now these two are easy to get confused, but update copies, this is where you would go to weed a title. I don't feel like that term is intuitive of what that means for weeding or deleting titles, but this is where you would go for that. So in this place is where you would scan the barcode or type in the barcode to delete a title from your collection, I highly recommend clicking Track as Weeded. That means that it will show up when you run a weeding report, and that's especially useful if you're going to be replacing this title. Specifically if you're deleting a damaged book or a book that is still needed in your collection, or maybe you need an updated version of that in your collection. So this is a very useful tool to keep to check when you are deleting. And then the last thing from this catalog tab is we're going to look at import titles. This is where you would go if you have a bulk order through, most likely through, mainly used if you have an order through Follett. And that way you can get all of those MARC records in at one time. And you can also view your recent imports, so you can see the most recent ones that you have imported. So we have a few from this month that we have imported. Okay, we're done with our catalog. There are a few other options, but these are the things that we use most often in our library under catalog. Let's move on to circulation. This is where you'll be finding the information for what you're going to, this is where we will be using it for checking in and checking out. So this is one of the main things we use our Destiny for, apart from searching for items in our catalog. So from this screen, the checkout screen, which is the default screen from the menu here when you click on circulation, the first thing you're going to need to do when you're checking out a book is you can either search by their ID number, or you can search by their last name or first name. You can choose right here actually what you would like to search by. Here at our school, we most often use our barcode. The students are able to type in their barcode number we have like a 10 key option for them to be able to type that in. Or you can search by their name, like I said. Is that we use searching by name specifically if we're looking for a teacher most often. Now, one important thing that I want to note from this screen, which is very important for our campus specifically, is this right here that says only my patrons. Now, that's the default setting is to have that checked, and so that way it only searches for the students or the patrons, at your specific school. That would be definitely useful if you're searching by last name for someone that has a common last name, like Martin or Martinez. That's going to bring up quite a few people within the district, so we want to limit it to our school. It would still be quite a few people for our school, but it would at least narrow it down. However, sometimes at our campus, we have students that are bused over from another campus, our LHS main campus. Now, if they type in their barcode number when we have only my patrons marked, they will not come up within our search. So that means if we uncheck this, that way we can search for students who are on our campus visiting from other campuses. And like I said, at our campus specifically, this is very common. We have quite a few students that take classes over here at Harmon, and their technical school, their original school where they are a patron, is elsewhere. So we use this quite a bit right here. And then, like I said, you can choose only search by a specific search item, and barcode is our most common used. So we typically just keep this unchecked and have it default to barcode. Okay. But if it is not clicked as only search, then you can search by either. So if you type something in here, it would search for either one, either by last name or by barcode. Okay, then the check-in screen this one's a little more simple. This is where you would check in the copies that are returned to the library. Next, we have Renew. This is a super useful and easy place to go. Instead of having to search for the patron to renew their book, you can just scan their book and it will automatically renew it for them for the next 2 weeks or whatever your checkout time period is. Next, we have the Holds or Interlibrary Loans tab. This is a great place for somebody who is getting a book that they want that is not available within your library. So let's go back to our example search of The Hate You Give. So I still have Deborah Lilly as our, that's still here from the last time that we searched for something back on our last page. Now, I have gotten ahead of myself. Right here is find patron, not finding our title. So this is where I would type in the name of our patron, or we can type in their barcode, just like we did before. So everything that I talked about of how you would search for a patron is the same on this screen. So I would find Deborah Lilly, which would come up here. Now, if you type in, like, say I type in Martin, and it brings up, oh, shouldn't have done that, because that brings up, pretend you're not seeing it. That brings up people we don't want to see. Okay, so if we keep it to Deborah Lilly, that'll have our one specific librarian, so our specific patron that we're searching for. So we'll click on them to bring up their profile. Now, if we want to add a hold to them, we'll click on Add Hold, and we'll type in the title of the book they want. And we can search that in the other libraries in our district, or we can keep it to our library. Typically, we keep our holds this way to our library, and we use email for our interlibrary loans. That way it's a little bit easier to track and to get a response. So we'll search for that book, and we can choose to hold it for as soon as possible, or if there's a specific date that they are requesting it, typically we keep that as soon as possible. And there isn't a specific copy we need. We can have any copy, and we can say how many books they need. So if a teacher is maybe getting these for a class read, then they may want more than one, but if it's just for one patron, they would just keep that as one hold. And then we would click on Save, and that puts it as a hold. Now, once this has been held, if this book gets turned in, when we check it in our check-in tab, it will come up with an alert in the same place that this notification is, and it will tell us that that book is on hold for another patron. So it's very useful to not lose those requests through the cracks. If somebody has requested a title, it gives us that notification there. So I'm going to delete that because Deborah Lilly does not need this. So am I sure I want to delete the hold? Yes. The last thing I want to show from this page, I'm not going to click on it because it will show some privacy information, but up here it says View Requests. This is very useful to use if you want to make sure that all of the holds that have been placed have been satisfied and somebody didn't miss the notification when checking in a book and put it on the shelf instead of alerting the patron that their book is available. So right there gives you an easy list of those. All right, a couple more things from the circulation tab. Next we have copy status, and under copy status, this is where you would want to, you could scan the book barcode or type in the book barcode, and this would give you some information as far as if the book has been, or who the last person who has checked it out. And this would be useful, let's say, if you have a damaged book and you need to see who's the last person that checked it out so that you can track them down and talk to them about the damage that occurred to that book. Okay, next we have patron status. Under patron status, this would give us some circulation stats as well as the holds that they have placed and some other various information. Something that is fun for some of our students is to show them their library circulation stats here for how many books they've checked out in their lifetime in the district, the previous year, the current year, and the current month. So we have a couple kids who are a little competitive about that with each other, which is fun. All right, so that's it for our circulation tab. A couple more things to point out through reports. So under reports, we don't use a whole lot of these, but the ones that we use most often are the reading log. This is what I touched on a minute ago about looking at the copies that have been deleted, and that way you can replace them. So this is useful for that information. We also use the current checkouts or fines. We don't do fines at our school, but our current checkouts. This is useful especially at the end of the year if you need to be tracking down all of your books for inventory and to collect them before the end of the school year. So those are from the library reports and then this also has the holds information here that I was talking about before. Then under patron reports, the one that we use most often is overdue materials. So I said that we print the current checkouts at the end of the school year, or at there may be other times that we need to see the complete list of checked out books, but most often that's the end of the school year. But overdue materials, we do this every so often, maybe every month or every quarter, to kind of track down our books that are overdue. Now, it is important to go through this before we print it and take off teachers. If they have overdue materials, we like to keep it specifically to students. Then once I'm going to click on this overdue materials to show you this screen. Oh, that's not what I meant to click on. So under this, if we click on show more, it does give us some information. And this is where we can go to send some notices to our students for overdue materials. And the last thing here would be under back office. So under back office, we use the calendar screen. This is where we can put in any dates that the library is going to be closed. These here are closed because of testing or school holidays. So we can put in here if the library is closed. The reason this is useful is not necessarily for our patrons to see when we are open or closed, but it helps our our due dates be accurate. For example, if somebody checked out a book on April 5th, the 2-week period would say that their book was due on the 19th. However, we did not have school on the 19th. So because we have this marked as closed, that will end up making their due date the 22nd. And that way they don't have a book due on a day that is not a school day. Well, that about wraps up everything that I wanted to go over for how to use Follett's Destiny. I am also going to be making a video for the patron view, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.